It's me, MC of Healthy by George. I come every week to talk about health, aging, and how we can stay as healthy as possible, mentally, physically, and spiritually, well into our older years. I know that's my goal, and I hope it's yours too, no matter what your age is. But especially as we approach those 40s, 50s, and 60s, it becomes a much more important thing to consider every single day. So please think about subscribing. That sometimes our mouth and tongue does not work. Please think about subscribing. I would love to see you here every week. I would love to understand how you're doing things to learn more about your body as you're growing older and what you're doing daily to make yourself as the best version of who you are. And basically show up and let's have a conversation and support one another. This is Mary Catherine, or MC, as everyone calls me. Please subscribe. I'd love to see you here every week. So today I'm just talking about the same thing as I have for the past couple of weeks, but this is more about menopause and perimenopause and truly understand some of the realities around us women going into menopause. I attended a recent program that was a health advocacy. It's called the Women's Health Advocacy. And they had a beautiful program that really focused on some of the core issues around going into menopause. And here's the thing, all women go into menopause or are in a stage of perimenopause. And that this is something that we can't avoid. This is truly something we will face as a woman as we get older. And perimenopause can show up in your 40s, and sometimes it does for some people in their late 30s. Or if something happens and you have to have your ovaries removed, it can bring on menopause. I know of some young ladies who had to struggle with such an issue. So this is really something that we all have to really work with. And that it's about how we will have declining estrogen and progesterone. And that sometimes the perimenopause period can be 7 to 10 years until you're into full menopause, where your periods, your menstruation has totally stopped. Now, that's the big issue, is that we will struggle with these symptoms of these fluctuations of our hormones. It changes our blood vessels. It changes our metabolic rate. It changes how we deal with stress and our mental health. It changes our sleep. It changes the temperature of our body during out the day. We have these strange sudden flashes of heat and sometimes cold. I don't know about you, but I sometimes go back and forth. I think the other problem too is that we are very much a sexual creature, and sometimes our menopausal symptoms affect our sex lives, and that it becomes a problem also with more UTIs. It becomes a problem with vaginal dryness. It becomes a problem with having some type of pelvic floor weakness. And the other things that our bone and our oral health are all tied into our hormones. We must do something to keep ourselves as vigorous and as thriving as we can as we go into our older years. And I don't think we have a good understanding, which is troubling. When we look at the statistics about women who are going to their OBGYN or their primary care providers, very few of these physicians have been trained in any kind of information or treatment processes for perimenopause and menopause. Less than 30% of our medical physicians have information. And unfortunately, we go to them because we really want to understand how we can help ourselves with hormone replacement therapy or any type of treatment that'll help us deal with the hot flashes, the mental instability, the sleeplessness. We need assistance. And of course, there's a lot of things we can do from a supplement and a behavioral practice. And I'll talk about that next time. But right now, we have to understand, how does this really impact us? The big thing is that we women live longer. But our health and our functioning is decreased by 25% because we're in menopause. And that means that even though we have a longer lifespan, we typically have 9 to 10 years of less health because we're struggling with some type of menopause or perimenopausal symptom. I think also too, we lose hours in work. We have many women who struggle because of these symptoms in their workplace. They don't go to work. And so there's lots of not only financial loss, but productivity loss. So there's an economic burden because sometimes you as a woman, not only are you caring for yourself, you're caring for others, children, parents, a nephew, who knows? You're caring for other people. And so that impacts how much you are losing your productivity if you are a woman and you're struggling. So we need to have a better understanding of what helps us and that we need to have better support from our medical care facilities and our medical practitioners. We need to have us women, and I think we are seeing that with some of these companies coming up that are offering online access to hormone replacement therapy. And there needs to be a more of a diligent, I think, cry out to our congressmen or congresspersons to help us be advocates for our healthcare to shift and do more in teaching and investigating and doing research that is particularly focused on women's health. I think it's really very disturbing to think that most of our treatments come from, especially in the heart health realm, is thinking that we're a man and that they're treating us with the same treatments that men got from research. There's just not enough research. There's not enough research about our bodies. There's not enough research about our hormones. And there's not enough research about our health in general. Women's health needs to have more support because when we go through menopause, every system in our body is impacted because every place in our body has hormonal receptors. So we have to understand that specifically when our perimenopause and menopause starts to impact us, it's about heart disease because it is the number one risk killer of women as we go through menopause. It doubles our risk in heart disease. And the problem is that we don't really understand the chest pain and discomfort is not typical in women like it is for men. We have a different a response to a heart attack. So there's delayed care and delayed recognition by 40 minutes almost. And that is when someone has their first heart attack, they're not aware of it. And it's often fatal. And then I don't think we understand the treatments for women that we have if they've had a heart attack. I think that we need to have a better sense of how estrogen can help us with our heart, our brain, our bones, our muscles, our liver, our teeth, even. We have to understand that estrogen helps us with our bodies and our well being. It helps decrease cholesterol and anti inflammatory. It helps us build muscle in addition to testosterone, helps us bone mineral density, maintain it, increases our fat storage, and has us do a better sense of fat distribution in our body. Instead of going to our belly, it's on our hips and our thighs that fat typically hangs out. And it helps us strengthen our memory and regulate our emotions. We need to advocate for better hormone replacement therapies, more understanding of research, more understanding of what it is, of how hormone replacement therapy can reduce these health risks. I know I've started, and today is the day that I switch my patch over to the other side. It's a 7-day patch. I showed it to you guys last time. And it really does help reduce health risks. And it really is helping me. I've already seen an increase in my energy. I've already seen an improvement in my sleep. I've already seen a wonderful ability to focus and think more clearly. And my mood is definitely improved. And this is at the lowest dose. Now, yes, I'm doing other things with my nutrition, diet, and some behavior, which I'll talk about next time. But those are the key things. Sleep is so critical. Our mood, our ability to face the day is very important. Our mindset about our body. And I think many of us might struggle with it's your last menstruation. Yes, there's a wonderfulness that you don't have to face the pain and the finding all the stuff that you need for your menstrual period, that you're saying goodbye and to that component of who you are as a woman, that you're no longer capable of bearing children. And now you're moving into this another stage of your life that is truly phenomenal. Some women feel like it's another breath of fresh air. I know I have. I feel like it's another process of understanding more of who I am. So think about calling your congressperson, your representative, your senators, your we need to get our advocacy of women's health and representation heard. I'm going to place some information in the show notes for you to follow up on. You can either hear the presentation that was done from Women's Health Advocacy for menstrual and perimenopause and menopause health. And you can also check out their website and how they're approaching our government to get more involved in women's health and see how we can make better businesses and research happen for women. So be well, my friends. We have this one precious life. Let's live it to the fullest. Let's be the most thriving, wonderful version of who we are well into our older years. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
So thank you so much for joining me at Healthy by George. I hope you found the information inspiring and that it encourages you on your wellness journey. Because remember, your body, your well-being are a most precious gift, and every tiny action taken daily can make a huge difference. I hope the information here is educational purposes and is not meant to replace your medical care. See your doctor and talk about what works for you. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me continuing creating content that inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Goodbye for now, and join me again at the next Healthy by George.